What's up guys, it's Elliot here. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm here with some Harvard students and we are going to be reading your assumptions about Harvard. So we also went to H Mart and picked up some Korean food. We got some very spicy ramen. We have some Korean melon popsicles, banana milk, some chips here, kimbap, and whatever that is. Mochi. So we're just gonna start eating, and yeah, let's get right into it. Over here on the right we have
Ryan.
Alright, so over here on the right we have
Hey everyone, Ryan.
I'm Caleb.
Elliot.
I'm Amy.
And I'm Al.
While you guys are jumping in there, I'm gonna pull up the assumptions that were submitted by you guys. So our first assumption, someone says that everyone at Harvard is Asian.
Now, I know what it looks like. But no. Actually, the truth is that not everyone at Harvard is Asian.
Contrary to popular belief,
Oh god.
it's only about 20%.
20% Asian.
Yeah, 20%.
Alright, so someone says that Harvard is cutthroat for no reason, annoying, cold, and dry.
Cold.
Cold is pretty cold.
Cold is fair.
Right.
What was the first part? Cutthroat for no
Yeah.
reason?
That's
No.
like very
No, they're definitely cutthroat for a reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you
Everyone's-
say it is cutthroat?
You can be. I think if you're,
Pre-meds.
it's a big school. If you're in the right crowd, you could definitely be surrounded by a lot of cutthroat people.
I think it's more just like you have that mentality from high school and then you apply to get into one of the top schools, right? Then you have to have kind of like a going from the top mentality. But some people do a lot, they change and they become a lot nicer and adjust to the fact that we're all
Yeah,
people.
I was gonna say if you
Yeah, we're all people.
transition out of the cutthroat phase, you'll probably find that you get more out of the experience here.
So like you say it is like a collaborative environment as well, or?
Yeah,
I think
Can be, yeah.
It can
it definitely
be.
can be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big school.
Yeah.
Lots of different environments.
I mean, it's such a big school that like all types of people will be here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And someone says they had absolutely no social life in high school.
Okay, for me that was true. I didn't have many friends.
I mean, look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
That's true.
For us.
Hey, we have friends.
Yeah, we have friends.
Trying to say something?
We have each other. Someone says that they went to Harvard for the name.
I mean, the name sells.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think you can lie.
Yeah, you can't
deny
deny
that. The name definitely sells. I think it's a fair thing to take into consideration.
I think the name for Harvard is just one part of
Yeah.
our school.
And the point is you apply kind of for the name, but also everything else that comes with it.
Yeah, like
So-
it has a name for a reason.
Exactly. Like it is
Yeah.
part of the decision. Like for example, I think for us too, actually we chose MIT versus Harvard.
Oh, me too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
flex on them. All right.
Name factors in, but it's just a part of it. I think it's a whole package scenario.
But also, we're like going through Harvard right now. The name aspect becomes much more relevant once you leave Harvard. And you go
Yeah.
into like the world outside.
Whoa.
You okay?
Ellen's like, nah. You're wrong.
Just joking.
Maybe we're just pretentious.
Yeah, we were just pretentious assholes.
On the topic of pretentious assholes, someone assumes that
Wait. Can we switch food?
someone assumes that everyone's ego is really high. Do you see it in other people?
Yeah.
But you can see it in other people anywhere. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not a unique thing
pretty
at all.
yeah.
Harvard.
So
I
you feel
mean-
like it's like relative to like other places. Or?
Yeah, I think if anything, like once you get here, you realize you're really not that smart. And like there's a lot of smart people in the world. So
Yeah. I think
if
that's
anything,
fair.
I don't think your ego would inflate even more once you get
No.
here.
Yeah,
The
it's-
grades will.
Yeah.
Someone says that these students there only care about grades.
Yeah.
Far from it. There are definitely students who do care a lot about grades and still really care about getting A's and doing the best. But then I think a lot of people realize that I think when you come to Harvard, a big thing you want to take advantage of is the network and like capturing those kinds of opportunities. And if you just focus on school all day, you may like sell yourself short, and you may not be able to have access to those opportunities.
I was gonna say I feel like classes are only like at most half of what students do here. The other half is like working or doing research or doing different extracurriculars. I'd say that for most students, grades are only just part of what you need to maintain, but there's so much outside of that that makes Harvard more than just school.
If anything, I feel like grades honestly kind of take away from the Harvard experience.
Yeah.
In the sense that you take a lot of courses and you choose courses based off what you're interested in. And like you said, right, it's not your focal point at college. Right now, it's either going to be your social activities or the different like clubs, research, those types of things that you do. But then grades kind of are like this nagging feeling in the back of your head, like, oh, I have to do a PSED because, not because I like learning, but rather it's, I have necessity to do a decent enough job to get a certain grade. So I think that's where it plays in, rather than like, oh, we gotta get an A in this class no matter what. But again, of course, people on campus, there are gonna exist a few people who do pursue that route, whether it be like a pre-med route, because that is one of the most important things, honestly, but.
Also, we like to fuck around, so.
Oh yeah, Alan's a pre-med.
Someone says it's ridiculously hard to get an A.
It depends on the class for sure. And I think when people think of grade inflation, they think of everyone getting A's. I think grade inflation prevents you from failing.
Yeah.
I think like you don't really have to do, if you don't do that much in the class at all, grade inflation will help you not fail. But if you still want to get into that top tier A range, you still gotta work hard, put in a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the grade inflation really comes from that median portion. So it's kind of the concept how we've come this far and like tried so hard in high school in terms of grades, in all honesty, that it's kind of our reward in a sense that we just don't have to put as much effort and concern into the grade aspect, right? Because we have like a raised median score. If that makes sense.
Because we're so smart. Oh God.
Someone says that Harvard students don't sleep.
I think the major misconception is that Harvard students don't sleep because they don't have a choice.
What?
What are you saying, Alan?
To quote my own experience, I think freshman year, I had a lot of choices whether or not I wanted to sleep in, or like if I wanted to sleep or if I wanted to like waste time. A lot of like late nights, like I don't know, watching movies and like forcing around, not really working. There's students here who have like a very rigorous like sleep schedule. Like they'll go to sleep at 10, wake up at 9.
Yeah, I know someone who gets 9 hours of sleep a night. Like actually routinely goes to bed at 11, wakes up at 8 o'clock the next morning. And
Anyways.
yeah, and she's like, you know, I just can't operate on less than 9 hours of sleep. And she can finish her work, she can do extracurriculars within the next 15 hours of the day. So it really depends.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Everyone's different.
Someone said that nobody parties at Harvard.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
We just study.
25/7.
Wow.
Yeah. 8 days a week.
People do party, but you don't have to party in order to have fun.
I will say, like, I feel like Harvard's party culture is a little weaker.
It's a little weak.
It's a little weak, to be honest.
Boston is a college town,
that's a
so
good point.
there's so many other colleges you can go to
Yeah.
to party.
Bring out the very spicy ramen. Hopefully we can bring up some spicy assumptions.
Now, this has been sitting
Sitting
out
here
for a little too long.
Come on, we're just trying to ASMR it, man.
Someone says that their parents have good income, or a lot of people are saying rich families.
There are rich families,
There are rich families.
but then there are a lot of students who are on financial aid.
How is the financial aid?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
No.
That's one thing you can't argue about Harvard. Lots of money.
Yeah.
Like not much you can say about
Do you
that.
guys know the
Yeah.
statistic on like how many people are on financial aid?
That's spicy.
Yeah, I
No,
think it's
don't
like,
know.
I think 60% of students.
Yeah, it's definitely
Or on
over
some sort of
50%.
financial aid.
It's definitely like majority of students here are on some sort of financial aid.
Woo, baby.
Yeah, this is spicy.
Although,
Yeah. Someone says that everyone at Harvard is a genius. Are there dumb people who go to Harvard?
Is there
There could be someone
See,
here who is like really, really well versed in philosophy and classics and English, but maybe not that good at calculus, right? Are they intelligent? Are they a genius? Versus someone who is like really good at math, but can't write an essay to save his or her life.
But I want to know if you guys have ever come across someone who you're like,
I definitely
This
come
person
across
is
people
not-
who do dumb things.
sure.
This question is a trap.
Yeah.
I can't answer this question.
Okay. Fair.
I think the point is like everyone has their backstory, in which sure they might come off as like slightly less intelligent in how they perform in classes or such.
Sure.
But the fact is, you don't know their background or like where they came from and how they got to this point. So
Yeah.
it's hard to make assumptions.
Yeah.
I think the point is like the
Stop
fact that-
making assumptions, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this is a juicy one. Affirmative action and Asians getting into.
Asian American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic.
Does someone want to like preface it? Like, what is the history there?
So affirmative action is where a lot of colleges are accused of profiling based on race. Recently, if maybe you've heard of this, the Harvard admissions office was fighting a case where the seems like the Asian American Association, the Asian community fought against Harvard's admission office. They were basically saying that Asians were being treated differently, or that they just felt like, you know, majority of the applicants were Asian, and that very few of them, a very low percentage of them, were actually being admitted compared to other races.
To be perfectly honest, I feel like we aren't the best representation
Yeah.
in terms of like how well informed we are about the issue. Definitely a very, very relevant topic. I think for each of us, we were fortunate enough that didn't pose any barrier to us and that we performed well enough.
Mhm.
But it's case by case, so it's very difficult to talk about.
This one's interesting. Someone says really strict lecturers.
Attendance is not strict.
Okay, some Harvard professors, I think it's honestly the case for all colleges, but some Harvard professors, given that it's a research university, don't really take their teaching seriously, and also kind of have a bit of an ego, especially when they're talking and speaking with students and teaching them. So that is kind of true in them being strict, I guess. I mean, there are some phenomenal lecturers. I'm sure like each one of you probably have had at least a few classes where like the teacher at least was very engaging with the students.
All right, one last assumption, and then we can move into questions that you guys asked, not just assumptions. This last assumption is that people don't want to show their feelings, so they bottle up their feelings.
I think so. Freshman year for me, I didn't talk about a lot of my struggles with people. For a while, I thought, oh, everyone else seems to be doing really well. Everyone's working hard, doing so many clubs, doing well in school. I don't know if that's a Harvard-specific thing or if other people felt that, but that's how I felt. And because of that, I closed myself off in a lot of ways. Told myself I should just suck it up, just pull through, like everyone else.
I think there's very much a imposter syndrome, kind of where
Yep.
if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's basically you kind of feel like you don't belong within this community.
Like everyone's smarter than you.
Exactly.
It's like you feel like you're fake, and you got to where you are undeservedly, and that's where like the imposter part of that syndrome comes from.
I think the kind of nice thing is that as you actually get closer to people, you kind of realize everyone is feeling this and understands each other in this sense. It's like this communal suffering aspect that bonds us together, but
There's just like imposter syndrome everywhere, and even when I thought I was doing a good job at like being open with my feelings, I realized this year that I still was kind of hiding them to some extent.
Jesus.
Damn, Elliot, do you
I
live?
think I strained my So we're moving into questions now. So I'm gonna ask any advice on finding the right group of people in college.
I remember my first probably month of college, I felt very lonely. So I did high school in Australia. So coming over here for college, I didn't know anyone. Basically, the first month of college was a lot of saying hi, what's your name, my name's Amy, what's your name, a lot of that, almost every day, everywhere you go. And I got to that point where like a month in, I was just sitting in my room and I was like, I don't even know if I've made any real friends. Like it's just a bunch of acquaintances that I've said hi to before. And it's important to realize that making new friends when you're in such an environment like this where everyone is trying to make new friends is that it takes a lot of time and you can't rush finding a friend. Like you can't rush finding, and sooner or later you'll find a group of people whether that's a large group or a small group, different groups or one group, that you feel comfortable with. And you know, you share a lot of the same values, you share a lot of the same interests, and you have the same humor or whatever it is, but it takes time. And I think for us, like, it probably overall took a year.
If you could go back and tell your high school self one thing, what would it be?
Make more friends. I was a kid who, like, the classic, like, Chinese kid where my parents didn't let me go anywhere. I was the kid who just shut himself in his room and, like, study.
I think also, like, quality is very important. Like, Caleb and I went to the same high school. It's like a huge high school, 5,000 kids, and sometimes you can sacrifice like quality relationships just to like meet more people. And I think it's important to understand that like quality is way more important than having lots of friends, which in high school for some reason that's like cool, just having lots of friends everywhere. But if they're not quality relationships,
I think for me, I would have wanted to spend more time with my family. One very different thing about college is you don't get to see your parents and your siblings or any family very often. For me, it's like once or twice a year now that I get to go back home and see my family. So like, yeah, sometimes it's really easy for high schoolers, and I did too, to get like caught up in school, caught up with friends, like caught up with that, and kind of leave your family like on the low priority. But once you get to college, like you don't get to see them very often. Spend time with them while you can.
I would tell myself to stop pleasing people too much in my life, trying to live by my parents or my friends or mentors I had, just by their expectations for what they wanted from me. But it definitely got to a point where I didn't understand where my true identity was. It was mixed up and lost in everyone else's desires for what they want me to do.
I think one assumption that I'd like to derail is that we're just normal people. Like everyone is just like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know, like we're not geniuses that, like we're not all Albert Einsteins. Like everyone's very normal. We talk normally, we like, you know, socialize normally. We're not all nerds.
Alright, I'm gonna go finish up my pizza.
Classic Harvard student.
Alright guys, so that was our assumptions about Harvard students / Q&A / general advice for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like, be sure to subscribe, and thank you to you guys for doing this with us, with me. Thank you guys for doing it with me, and hopefully you guys got something out of it and learned something new. I'll be linking their socials down in the description, so be sure to check them out, say hi. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!
Hit that subscribe button.